Celeste is running for seat B, and you're on.
All right, thank you for having me. If by chance we haven't already met, my name is Celeste Meyeres, and I'm running for Kane County Commission seat B. I grew up mostly in Montana and have lived in Kane County for the better part of my adult life. Thank you for welcoming me into the community 17 years ago. Kanab is now the lifelong home of my husband Nicholas and I, and our family-run, hands-on businesses. I'm grateful to have been able to come serve you publicly these past 6 years. And because I was concerned with Kanab moving away from its small town feel, I volunteered for Kanab City Planning and Zoning in 2016 and later became the chair. In 2018, I moved to Kanab City Council, where I continue to advocate for diversification of industry, ranching, farming, and other land use rights, as well as prioritizing essential infrastructure and holding developers accountable while still allowing for thoughtful growth. In 2019, I was asked to be the county-wide coordinator for the successful food tax reform referendum. With all of us working together, Kane came first in the state on this bipartisan effort. I've been Republican for as long as I can remember, including since settling here. In 2021, I was chosen to represent Kane County as the party chair, where I work closely with our neighboring counties and meet quarterly with legislators around the state. I was the only commission candidate to voluntarily rely solely on our caucus convention selection process, and I was vetted by locally elected delegates and went on to win the majority vote in the primary. That's how I earned a place on the upcoming ballot. I'm looking to put my connections, experience, and knowledge to work as a county commissioner. I'm uniquely positioned to advocate and leverage for our Kane County concerns, and I look forward to discussing the key issues with you tonight.
Thank you. Do you want me to repeat it, or you're okay?
Why am I running? Ready?
Yes.
All right, I got it, thank you.
You're welcome.
So our county has a very large geographical area, and as Camille mentioned, over 90% is owned by the federal government and another chunk owned by the state government. And so our communities are threaded along our highways mainly, and every single one of those communities is really diverse and different with unique culture and heritage. And I think it's so important to honor the different aspects of our county. Not only are we spread out from each other, but we're at different elevations, we've got different terrain, different industries that can thrive in each area. And I wanted to really honor that. I've been working for years to form relationships with people all over the county on a deep level, and that's why there's now a sense of trust, a sense of communication. I've been putting my phone number out there for 6+ years, and because of that, I've been really grateful to understand people, enjoy people, be embraced by people all over the county, and I appreciate that so much. To hear that I won the primary in Alton by just huge numbers makes me feel good, because Alton's one of our farthest away from Kanab communities, and Big Water, connect deeply with Big Water. I think it's so important to diversify our economy, not only just trying to find things that aren't tourism, but also to diversify within the tourism industry as well. And it's also important when we're talking about all these different areas to give different areas a little bit more authority and say over what their lives and livelihoods look like. And I want to make sure to honor that. I'd like to build on the infrastructure, including roads, that the current commission has already put in place. Thank you.
I'm on the first question. Yes, okay, thank you. Tell us about your public service experience, your formal education and employment experience that makes you qualified to serve as a successful Kane County Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I apologize.
No problem. So my husband and I own 2 businesses together. We own a bed and breakfast that he manages completely so I can do political stuff. And then I'm also a knitter for a living, so that's a business that I can control how busy I am or not, so I can focus completely on the work of being a politician if I need to. I did talk in my intro a little bit about what I've done as far as being on city planning as the chair, the countywide coordinator for the food tax referendum, the party chair for the county, and I serve on city council for the past 4+ years. I love that. That's a legislative position, so we handle budgets, we handle ordinances and contracts, things like that. The difference between what a county commissioner would do and a city council person is county commissioner is legislative and also a little bit executive. They work more with the legislature on Salt Lake City and even with the federal delegation. So it's a great fit for the experience I have working with our neighboring counties and also with legislators around the area. I'm quite close with Phil Lyman, our representative in Congress, in Utah Congress, and public service. I love serving. It makes me so happy, and I usually donate the stipend that I get on city council to local interests like Kane County Care and Share, the police department, things like that. Before coming here, I lived in Oregon, and I was the vice president of a statewide nonprofit organization, and I loved that. After coming here, I served as the secretary of the chamber until I had to move on to city planning.
Celeste starts this question. Can you explain this claim to voters? I received a campaign postcard in the mail that stated Kane County is giving $97 million to rich developers in the East Zion area. Can you explain this claim to voters? Thank you.
Yeah, so I believe that was in reference to the East Zion project, and that project is a TIF, which is tax incremental funding. It's what TIF basically is, super high view. A local area, it's a state program to provide a particular area with tax deferment so that they can funnel that money back into that particular area. And I believe the $97 million was in reference to how much that project might generate over time and go back into the area rather than going straight to taxes. So I'm in favor of this project and other projects like that because they are locally driven. The area that's impacted and in a positive way gets to decide whether or not they have that project happen. So this is just one tool that the state government allows people to implement, and I believe there's another project being considered, East County, for a solar farm that the Church Wells and Korea people and Big Water people get to decide whether or not they think that's a good project for them.
Thank you. Give us an overview of your specific plans to diversify and support the Kane County economy. Les, thank you.
Yeah, so please allow me to explain the dynamic that we're under right now. As I mentioned, 94% of the county is not up for private ownership. And so we're left with 6%. And what do we do with that 6% that we've got left? Well, what we're locked into now with tourism being our main economy, the transient room tax is funneled, the state legislature decides how that money gets spent. They've currently said for this year anyway, that 47% of the tourism tax has to be spent on marketing to bring more tourism here. And what that ends up doing is it locks us into growing tourism, and it becomes this cycle of a serpent eating its tail. And so how can we get away with from that cycle where we're locked into it is maybe we advocate to the Utah legislature, which sets these parameters, to allow us to have more decision, more agency over how the money that our area and our workers spend. So maybe we don't have to spend 47% on bringing more tourists. And by the way, a good portion of that 47% has to be spent outside the area. So we couldn't all just become marketers and make posters. Do you see what I'm saying? And so what I would like to see is to allow people to have sovereignty over what they do for a living, so they can decide what they want to bring here, rather than the government deciding what people want to do for a living. But the people get to decide what they do for a living, and then the government's job is to facilitate, to help mitigate impacts, but to also get out of the way and allow industry. Thank you.
Celeste,
Thanks.
welcome.
Usually I'm pretty boring. I happily attend every meeting and every training. I stay engaged for countless hours of budget hearings, lot line adjustments, and ordinance revisions, so that when it really matters, I'm there. Strong for our families, strong for our livelihoods, strong for our God-given liberties. And in those crucial moments, I can be counted on. I've consistently, 100%, been willing to kindly fight with an understanding and a respect for law. The status quo have gone along, while those on the far left have actively tried to cancel and boycott Kane County people and businesses. And my defense of us has brought enemies to me on both sides, with only you and your vote standing between. Please let me keep fighting for you when it counts. Please vote for me this November. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste.